What's up, y'all? I'm gonna go ahead and do a live video in the group real quick. Um, Anybody that caught me before, I did a live in here last week, I think. Um, and my partner and I, we usually do live videos and then we share them out into the group, but we don't usually go live from within the group. I did my first live inside of the group last week for the first time, and I'm gonna do another one because it seemed to get a lot of uh, I don't know, it seemed to get a lot of interaction, so I'm gonna do it again. Um, Today's topic, for anybody that doesn't know, um, Jewel and I, we usually do our lives based off the just for today. Sometimes we'll do other topics, and sometimes we'll do the steps. I think we did the step work like once, and we did a little series um, where we went through all 12 steps. You can find that on our page called Breaking the Chains, or you can find it on our YouTube channel, which is called the same thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my plugs out of the way. For anybody that doesn't know, we're from the Eastern Shore of Maryland, and we pretty much just do recovery awareness. We share some wisdom and we share our experiences. We also do fundraisers and we organize recovery events where we raise money to help women who are, trying to get into recovery. And it's gotten really popular lately because of the whole going purple thing, um, with the opiate crisis that we're under right now. Um, so it's really our events have really gained a lot of recognition. Jewel's been published in the paper. She's on the board. So she's really involved. I kind of play the background a lot because I'm not really a in your face kind of guy. So I like to just play the background and play my role and let her take the lead. Um, so for anybody that doesn't know, I'm a recovering alcoholic. Um, she is a recovering dope addict or pill addict, whatever you want to call it. Um, and we basically just try to, we try to help people. We try to do these videos, and when we're not doing these videos, we try to sponsor those events that I talked about. We're very active in our community, and we try to raise money to help women who are struggling and women who need to try to get into recovery, and we try to help those nonprofit organizations that are local to us. We're also starting next year. We're going to try to use that money to start our own recovery house called Wendy's House. That's my mom. She wanted to open her own recovery house, and um, we are going to take that dream of hers and we're going to carry it for her. It's something that I'm passionate about. When I went to college, I went for psychology. This was the field that I wanted to get into, um, but of course, my drinking took control, and that never happened. I never finished school. So that's just one of those things. Um, you miss out on a lot of opportunities when you're getting fucked up all the time and you're not applying yourself. Um, so, and I come from a pretty, I had a good childhood at some, here and there, but I come from a pretty rough background, and I was appreciative of my childhood. My mom did a lot for me um, when she was straight, but you know how that goes. Anybody that grows up that grew up with addicts or alcoholics for parents or family members, um, when they were doing good, life was good. They because a lot of good people get caught up in this shit. A lot of people who are really capable of doing a lot of great things in this world, they get caught up in that shit, and it takes a lot of good people out of here. Um, and that's the whole point of recovery to me. That to me, the whole point of recovery is to get these good people, back out there to take these people and make them good members of society. And um, you have a lot of capabilities. You have a lot of things that you can accomplish. Um, and I'm all about, trying to get people clean and sober so they can help get other people clean and sober, and eventually we can dig ourselves out of this hole that we're in right now with um, the state of the nation and the world. Really, I mean, it's it's like a rite of passage. It's really it's kind of burned into our culture to use drugs and alcohol, and any kind of mood or mind altering substance. Um, so it's hard to, number one, it's hard to get out of that idea that that's our culture and that's the way it's supposed to be. Um, Especially, me personally, like I said, I'm an alcoholic, especially for me, because alcohol is so accepted. You can buy it at any time. It's legal. Nobody's gonna bother you if you're sitting in your house getting drunk. Nobody's gonna bother you if you're out getting drunk. Um, as long as you're not driving, alcohol is accepted. But now we're starting to see um, more hardcore drugs become accepted because of the pharmaceutical industry. With the pharmaceutical industry, it's given opiates that same label and narcotics that same label where because a doctor can write you a script or because it can be used to treat pain or injury, um, we now see that as it's okay to socially use if we're responsible, but there is no being responsible. If you're an addict or alcoholic, there's no such thing. And, you know, not to say it's not possible for alcohol, but my opinion is with pills, um, a lot of people don't educate themselves on pharmaceuticals and what they're all about and what they do. And what they do is they're taking place of some of your body's functions. So we have the ability to endure pain. We have the ability to heal on our own. We have the ability to get over pain. We have the ability to we have a lot of ability. But when you take pills for every little thing, or you take pills to party or whatever, it suppresses all those functions, and then every little thing hurts, every little thing bothers you. You know what I'm saying? You become weak, um, and your body builds a tolerance. Then you take too much of it, and you're getting high, and then your tolerance grows, and all of a sudden you have a $300 a day pill habit or somewhere in that neighborhood. And then you turn to dope because it's cheaper and it's stronger, and then that's when your life is over. Um, as long as you're using, that's when your life really hits the wall. Um, that's when your life really starts to spiral out of control. Same thing with alcohol. You build a tolerance to it. You drink more and more, and you start to tread that line of being buzzed. Then you start to tread that line of being drunk, and then you start to tread that line of being blacked out all the time. Because you're like, I could handle 12 beers, maybe I can drink 18. I handled 18, maybe I can drink 24. I handled 24, maybe I can drink 32. You know what I'm saying? And then you're blacked out doing a bunch of shit you don't remember. You're getting arrested, you're crashing your cars, you're fighting your friends, you're beating people up. You might even go out and, rob people or do things that, you normally would think twice about. Um, so it's all the same. I always just said alcohol is a slow kill, dope's a quick kill. So that's just the way I look at it. Um, and today's just for today. The topic is the forest and the trees. Okay, and what that's all about is sometimes when we get into recovery, uh, you can't see the forest for the trees. You can't. You get so bent out of shape about little shit, and you need someone to talk to that can help guide you and can kind of open your eyes up and show you what's really there and let you know, like, hey, this isn't what you think it is. This isn't that big of a deal. Relax, take a deep breath, and then you can continue on your path. You need people to keep you in check. You need a good foundation and a good support system. But my belief is that foundation starts with you. If you're not mentally ready for it and you don't want it as much as you say you do, uh, you'll never really get to where you want to be in your recovery journey. And I talked about my recovery journey a little bit here and there. I don't dwell on the horror stories because I think that's I feel like that's a detriment to recovery. So I don't really get into all the things I did, and I might say a little thing here or there, but I don't really try to just sit there and tell my story per se. Um, and I have my reasons. It's not because I'm closed. If you ever want to reach out to me and add me on Facebook and talk to me, and you have any questions or concerns, I'm not going to hide anything from anybody. But the reason being is I know a lot of people struggle in the rooms and in the meetings because um, you'll get a speaker go up there and they're up there laughing and having a good old time telling all those stories, right? So you're like, fuck, why the fuck am I sitting here? He sounds like he's having a great time just telling the story. I wonder how fun it would be to just go out there and live the goddamn story over again. You know what I mean? So we get confused. Um, that's why I feel like you need to make sure you have a good foundation and a good support system. People that are not going to talk so much about the past, but talk about the present and talk about what you need to do right now in your journey and recovery. And your foundation starts with you. Um, Now, one piece of my story that is important is I got sober. It's coming up on 2 years ago when my daughter was born. I got sober like 2 weeks before my daughter was born because I got drunk. I was getting drunk the whole month of my birthday, and I had a really shitty night. Um, it was not a good night. I woke up and didn't remember the night, so that's therefore it's not a good night. Um, and I told myself, I'm like, man, I can't be fucking blacking out if I got a daughter and it's apparent. I've been drinking since I was 15. At the time, I was turning 29, and I'm like, well, it's pretty fucking apparent that this is not something that I should be doing. You know, this isn't something that I can raise a daughter and do. Also, I don't like to be hypocritical. I don't like to fault my parents or fault my, my friends and my loved ones who, uh, kind of put me through that. I don't want to look at them like they did something wrong and then I turn around and do the same exact thing. You know what I mean? Um, how can I, with a clear conscience, know that this caused a lot of problems in my life and then transfer that over to my child? So that's what made me want to get sober. And it lasted a good while. It lasted about 20 months, give or take. And but my wife went to go see some family, took my daughter with her, um, and that shit smacked me like a ton of bricks because I realized that I'm not okay when I'm alone because I'm not doing this shit for me. I'm doing it for somebody else. Um, and that shit can hold true for a long time. That shit can work forever, for quite some time, but it's not going to work forever because at some point in time, you're going to be by yourself. And when you're by yourself, you have to make sure that you value yourself enough to stay clean and stay sober for you. Not just for your family, not just for your friends, not just for a job, but for you. Um, Kathy, yeah, similar. I got three in 1 year. I was 19. I had three of them all within the same year. Um, I crashed my car into the Chester River. That was one of them. I I tried to run the cops in the car and on foot. So there was a lot of things that that I had happen in a short period. Um, and that didn't wake me up though because I didn't care. You know what I'm saying? I was living that lifestyle. I was hanging out. I was, doing shit I wasn't supposed to do. I liked it. I thought it was fun. And I was dead wrong. Because it really stunted my growth. It stunted my success. It stunted everything that I wanted to do and I wanted to become. And I had a family member that I was really close to growing up as a kid. I almost looked at her like a second mom um, at one point in time. And when my mom started using again, we kind of grew distant. It was almost like that guilty by association. You know what I'm saying? Where, once your mom has a fallout with somebody, then you don't really get to see that person anymore. So there was some distance there. And I remember I went to go visit her many, many years later, and she looked at me and she was like, you're not the person you were supposed to be, but it's okay. And that's like one of those things that kind of like wakes you to fuck up. You're like, damn, like you don't know how to feel about having somebody that you look up to tell you that. But it was true. Because of all the choices that I made and all the things I was doing, I didn't maximize my potential and I didn't stay on the path that I was supposed to be on. And when you take a detour, you end up somewhere else. A lot of times, you don't end up to where you were supposed to be. But like she said, the key part in that is that's okay, because when you get clean and you get sober, you're on this new path, and you never know. Maybe you were supposed to be on that path. Maybe you were supposed to go through this so you could help somebody else. Um, So don't ever feel like you can't make it, or um, your life has no purpose because you got clean, you got sober, but you can't afford your own place. You're flipping burgers or washing dishes, and or you can't find a job because of your record, and you feel helpless. You feel like you're wasting your time being clean and sober, but you're not. You have to just stay the course, stay the path, um, and there's a lot that you can do to help other people, and that's what's most important. If your life has been minimized all the way down to just helping others, then your life was not minimized. You know what I mean? You have the ability to help others, but you have to be strong enough in your recovery, and you have to stay the course long enough to where you have some hope to share, you know? And it's important. And, but needless to say, so when that happened, I relapsed, I drank, and because I had nobody around me to keep me accountable, and it was a one night thing. The next day, I called everybody that I was close to and talked through it, and that's when I had the realization that I wasn't doing it for myself, and I had to really change gears and make sure that I'm doing it for me. Um, and now I just passed on my new sobriety date was February 2nd. So February 2nd to March 2nd to April 2nd to May. So um, I've passed the 90-day mark. So that's anybody that knows, that's a big milestone. Um, it's just the way I see it. I see it like your 30 days, your 90 days, your 6 months, your year, and then your 18 months, and then after there, you should try to just be off to the races. Um, so I'm feeling good. It's like nothing really changed. I'm still confident in what I'm doing. I'm still confident in my recovery. Um, I just made a mistake. I made a bad choice, and I wasn't gonna let that choice define me and keep me on a run. And that's what I always tell people: like, don't get so bent out of shape or depressed or hurt or pissed off at yourself that you turn a 24-hour relapse into a fucking run. Where you go on a run, and because you don't know what's gonna happen, you don't know if you're ever gonna come out of that run. You're just the more you feed that, the harder it's gonna get. If you wake up the next day and you go to rehab, or you go to a meeting, or you call your sponsor, or you call your loved ones, and you're open, you share, and you get that love and support, and you get the questions, and they help you pinpoint what happened, what went wrong, what you need to do next time. Um, it's so much easier than if you go on a run and because you start to alter your mind. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people who use drugs for a long time, and they're not the same person no more. They've caused mental disorders from using drugs for long-term periods. Um, there's a lot that comes with that. Your mind's a powerful thing, and just like you can feed it, you can kill it. You can do a lot to destroy your mind and the way you think. And I think it's natural for the topic to be, forest and the trees, because when you first get sober, you don't know which way is left, right, up or down. So many emotions just start to hit you all at once. And that's why I said you need that foundation and you need that support system to help keep you focused on what's real and what's not. Um, for example, you'll see a lot of people get into a recovery house, or they'll get into the meetings, and you see a lot of those old characteristics and those old traits in a lot of people, where they're all about the drama. They're all about the sewing circle. They're all about the bullshit of the meeting and the bullshit of the recovery house. They're not really about the actual recovery. Um, Obviously, those are not people you want in your foundation. Watch the person at the meeting that's positive, that's direct, that's there for them. You know what I'm saying? Watch those people, admire those people, stick close to them people. You know what I mean? Avoid the cliques, avoid all that shit, because that's not what you're there for. You're there to get help, and you're there to recover, and you're there to change. And if you're still carrying a lot of those same traits, you're not changing, and your shit's not gonna last, or you're just gonna be a dry drunk or a dry addict or whatever you want to call it. And you might stay clean and sober, but you're kind of robbing yourself of what you could really come across. You know what I mean? And it's not really to throw any salt on anybody, because they just don't know. You know, they might not have the right guidance. They might not have that old head that's been in the meeting forever that comes and grabs them by their neck and tells them, hey, this ain't what you need to be doing. Because society's changed, and unfortunately, a lot of the old heads are dying off. Um, and we're kind of at a loss for role models and spokesmen, especially in recovery, because there's a lot of stigma that gets put on it, and um, there's a lot of negativity that we're just looked at like numbers. We're not really looked at like human beings a lot of time, and it's sad. It's unfortunate, but don't be a statistic. Be a success story. A lot of times you'll see in the papers or on Facebook, they're quick to share that motherfucking OD. They're quick to share out that overdose, aren't they? They'll share that shit in a heartbeat. Everybody on your damn friends list will share it out. And it's a whole lot of sadness and rest in peace. But ain't nobody sharing no fucking recovery or no hope or no positive stories like, hey, this guy was a crackhead for 20 years and he built his own enterprise. Or, hey, this guy was doing this for this long and look what he's doing now. Don't nobody share no shit like that. You know what I mean? And that's why so many people stay sick, because it just adds on to the depression and the sadness. Nobody sees like, hey, there is something on the other side of this for me. I haven't ruined my life. It isn't too late. It's not too late. Since I've been sober, I've got more shit going for me now than I've ever had. And it's because I got my right state of mind. I got my peace of mind. And there is no limitation on the value of having peace of mind and not feeling guilty, not feeling shame, not having nothing that you regret anymore. And a lot of people just don't let go. A lot of people hang on to the past, and that shit is over with. You're not going to get anything out of it. It's gone. You've either learned your lesson from it or you haven't, and either way it's over. So let's just move forward. Let's just go straight. Go this way. A lot of people don't even realize that they use that for one of their excuses and one of their crutches. Oh, this happened to me in my childhood, I did this when I was getting fucked up, and you sit and you think about it when you're alone, and then all of a sudden, you're getting fucked up again, and it's all some shit that you just dug up yourself. It ain't even shit that matters no more. It's over with. So just try to remember that. And like I said, my problem has always been alcohol. I've never had a problem with anything else. Not like that matters, good or bad. But the reason why I talk so much about heroin and pills, and because that's the climate that we're in. My mom used heroin, smoked crack. That was her. She would do whatever. She wasn't much of a drinker, but other than that, if she could get high, she'd find a way. But what really is bothering me is it's becoming a young person drug. And that's that's why I focus so much on that, because that's who I'm trying to help. There's when you're older, you've kind of been through a lot of things, and but when you're young, it's like, man, you ain't even giving yourself a chance. You haven't even had a chance. Well, Jesse and Brittany, um, you know, you can't force anybody to do anything. You can't force somebody to fuck with you if they don't fuck with you. Um, Sometimes, your family can be your biggest enemy in recovery, because if you stay connected, you might be doing good for like a year, 2 years, whatever, and you'll go see one of the older relatives that you love or you look up to, and they'll get to talking too much, and you'll find out such and such says you're still fucking up, or so and so said you did this. I had somebody say, I had somebody say that my brother was bad off on drugs. My brother never even had a fucking drug problem. My brother never even had an alcohol problem. People just say shit, you know what I mean, without realizing the damage that those words can cause. You know, people just come up with shit, and you have to keep in your head that, you know, somebody else's thoughts of you is doesn't define who you are. Um, I'm gonna tell you whether a loved one drinks or they don't drink, or they get fucked up or they don't. Everybody in life has a problem. You don't have to be high or drunk to have problems in your life, or be going through some shit, or, you know, doing wrong things. You know, we all fuck up. We all make mistakes. Um, if you want to look at it, yeah, I wasn't sure um, you had a dual Facebook account, so I just figured I'd address both names just in case. Um, I guess I should have knew it was Brittany, the whole mommy part. So, you know, but anyway, so, you know, just don't worry about it, because if, you know, if it's falling on deaf ears, it doesn't really mean anything. You know, so if you don't, if what's best for you, if they're gonna, you know, talk negative about you, or they're gonna say some shit about you, just don't go around them. Stay to yourself. And you'll see it doesn't matter, because while you're doing good and you're, you know, succeeding, and, you know, you're staying clean, and, you know, you're taking care of your children, that's most important. Once you have kids, that you got your own family now. Fuck the rest of them. Your own family comes first. You've created your own family now. Your husband, your kids, that's your family now. That's who you need to worry about. Um, you brought those children into this world. That's your responsibility now. That's who you need to impress, and no one else. As long as your kids are well and taken care of, and you're doing the right thing to them and by them, who gives a fuck what some old people in your family say? Nobody cares. Um, don't worry about it. It's par for the course. Um, and your family doesn't know how to heal. You know, your family could probably use some recovery. Not that they're high, or they get drunk, but we all need therapy. We all need recovery. We all need somebody to talk to. You know, I talked about before. You know, I'm big into working out. I tell people all the time that, you know, $30 for a membership, that's the cheapest therapy you're ever gonna find. Um, so that's the way I look at it. If I'm upset or whatever, every time I come out of the gym, I always feel better than when I walked in there. So that's, you know, that's how I carry on, and that's what I do to keep me busy. That's my hobby. Um, well, I mean, that's Bernie. That's something that, you know. I mean, it comes with the territory. You got to keep in mind that, you know, when I don't know, I'm guessing your husband doesn't have, you know, a drug problem. I'm just gonna guess. Um, so he might look at it like, when you relapse, you're cheating on him. You know, you're alienating him, and you're neglecting him. Cause when So you got to try to be under. One of the biggest things about recovery is we got to be understanding. You got to be understanding of the people that you care about, and well, I have to tune in and catch you on here one day. Um, but you have to try to be understanding about how he feels about it. Um, you know, if you relapsed and he cheated, then, you know, maybe it doesn't seem good, but maybe he's trying to tell you something. You know, like, hey, I'm not just gonna stand here. You know what I mean? And be second best, or, you know, because you're not a good partner when you're getting high, even if it's just one night. You're not being a good partner. And I know, because, you know, my wife never had a drug problem or alcohol problem, and I put her through that shit for many years. And okay. Well, I don't know. Maybe I mean, maybe if you relapse, then maybe it causes him to want to relapse, so he goes and finds something else to sink his teeth in so he doesn't relapse. He goes and chases something else to stimulate him so he doesn't relapse. I don't know. It's just a question. I won't. I don't know unless I talk to both parties involved. Just that's a conversation y'all gotta have. Yeah, Matthew, you got it. Other people's opinions of you is none of your business. That's what I've heard. And it's really true because it doesn't dictate who you are, so what the fuck difference does it make? Anybody, I don't know, where you come from, but everybody's, if you're from a small town especially, man, motherfuckers come up with the most wildest shit to say about people, and they'll say anything, and it just seems like, people in general are just more negative than positive. So just don't worry about it. Just focus on you. Like I said, if you got a family of your own now, that's it. That's all you need to worry about. And put yourself number one so you can stay sober and stay clean. Um, and that's just something you need to understand. Well, maybe the pressure of staying home, you could be getting bored, or you could be getting burnt out with the kid. I mean, it happens. We all go through burnout periods where we just get burnt out, and that can lead you to relapse too. If you're getting bored, or you're getting burnt out, or you're getting overwhelmed, or stressed, or whatever, um, I would say you probably need somebody. You know, try to be open and honest with him the best you can, and tell him how you feel. But you probably need a third party. Somebody from a mentor standpoint. You can find one. Maybe you should find one. Maybe you should find an older lady that's been in recovery for a long time, and uh, create that contact because it could probably do you some good. Yeah, it's true, Matthew. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, you could be the most positive person. You could, I always said, if you get healthy and you lose weight, you're on drugs. You know what I mean? If you got money, then it's probably your tax money, or people just come up with the dumbest shit. It's just fuck them. That's what I always say. I always say fuck them. Um, you could be doing positive shit in your community, and oh, this motherfucker switched up. Look at this corny motherfucker always trying to be positive and shit. I mean, fuck them. What does it matter? If you out there running the streets and shit, they gonna say some shit about you too. You know, it's it's always something to say. People can always come up with something. Just don't worry about it. Don't let people, you know, rent space in your head for free. People that don't matter. Um, so basically, just to you know, circle this thing back around. The topic was forest in the trees, and basically all that is like I just said to Brittany, you need somebody that is important to you, that's long into recovery, or just somebody that never had the problem, that can be an outside kind of seeing, looking in what it looks like to them. But we need somebody that can help us see clearly, because a lot of times we'll get overwhelmed, and sometimes just having that one person that can help you see things clear can show you, like, you might think the wall is white but it's really black. You just because you're so angry, or you're so emotional, or you're so upset, or you're so frustrated, and you can't see clear. You got different lenses on, and you need somebody to reveal what this issue really is, or what this problem really is. um, and we all need those people. My go-to is my brother. Like I said, he never really had a drug problem or alcohol problem. He kind of, I mean, when he was a kid, he get fucked up a little too much sometimes, but he always maintained and held his own. He never really had no issues like that. Um, Lucky him, you know. But so he's kind of my go-to because he's always been with me. We've been side by side forever, and he's seen me at my best. He's seen me at my worst. He's done things with me. He's my right hand, so I always go to him. And he's a male, so he's somebody who kind of has my way of thinking and looks at life my way, and but he also can keep me straight. He can keep me focused when I'm not feeling right. So that's my go-to. So we all need somebody to turn to. Um, and that's just the way it is. Nobody did this on their own. There's no self-made people out here. We've all had help at some point. So, like I said, Brittany, since you seem to be having the most issues on here right now, my advice to you is to find an older lady who's been in recovery for a while, who is open to communication, who is dependable. Um, you can call them a sponsor, you can call them whatever you want. You just need somebody that can be that outside looking in for you. You can be that person to go to. Um, so if I were you, I would start working on that. Whether it be calling up outpatient treatment centers or um, outpatient treatment. I don't know if you have insurance or whatever, but it was pretty cheap for me when I was court ordered to go. It was like $7 a visit or some shit. Um, so I guess it just kind of depends on that. But if you can go to some meetings and talk to people who hold the meetings and say, hey, I really need an older lady that has a lot of time in recovery that can help me, that can be somebody that'll answer the phone when I call and somebody that I can depend on, um, and that might help you a lot. So that's my advice right now, as it stands right now. Like I said, anybody on here, I said this in the beginning, anybody on here that's watching me, I'm open to communication. Feel free to send me a friend request on my personal page. Feel free to message me. Congratulations, Brandy. Um, you know, I'm open. I'm open to communication. So, um, well, you can just look it up. Google's a bad bitch. Just get on Google and look it up. Um, and I don't know. I guess it depends on how big your community is, but find out. Find out where the meetings are. Um, I would say probably. I mean, you got insurance, so you can go to outpatient. But the problem with outpatient is they're going to be there for you when you have an appointment. You understand what I'm saying? They're going to be there for you when you're supposed to be there, but I don't know how dependable they are outside of that. So I would suggest go to some meetings when your husband gets home from work. Let him watch the kid for an hour while you go to a meeting, and try to make your contacts that way and try to find some dependable people. Maybe go early to the meetings because all the old heads go early. Just a little piece of advice. I'm not a real meeting goer anymore. I just know that because I used to go when I was a kid. I kind of grew up in that because my dad was an alcoholic. So a lot of times I went to meetings when I was a kid. Um, so that's where I'm at right now. I would try that avenue first because it's free, number one, and number two, most sponsors and sponsees, that relationship's different. They'll answer anytime pretty much, because most of them take it pretty serious. So that's what you need to be doing. That's my advice to you. Um, you just sound like you need somebody, and that will probably be your your easiest avenue. I got 90 days, a little over 90 days, 3 days over 90 days. I talked about my whole relapse situation um, earlier in the video. I got sober. My daughter will be 2 in June. I got sober 2 weeks before she was born. Um, I stayed sober for 20 months. Her and my wife went on vacation to go see some of her family. I relapsed while they were gone, and then I told everybody around me, like, hey, I fucked up. This is what happened. This is and they kind of told me what they thought. I told them what I thought, and I learned from it, and now I'm back on it. So that's, you know, that's where I'm at. But didn't really, it didn't really phase me as far as anything goes. I was fortunate that nothing bad happened that night, and I didn't go wander around and look for shit to get into. Um, but you know, people fuck up. You make mistakes, just learn from that shit and do better the next time. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good day. Stay sober, even if it's just for the day. And if you need help, try to go get some. Like I said, you can add me on Facebook. Feel free to message me anytime. I will always respond to you. Might not be right away, but it will be probably before the end of the day. Usually I'm pretty quick. Usually I'm pretty instant on it. So I got to run. Got to get my workout in. Y'all have a good one.